Hi, welcome back to the workshop for episode 13 of the TV Yellow Les Paul Junior build, and in this episode we're going to be making a pick guard, converting the pickup and then sorting out the electronics. Now in the last episode we got the bridge fitted, we worked out the angle, drilled the studs in and everything, and that's all beautiful, and we also routed the cavity for the pickup, which means that we can actually put the guitar to one side for a little while because we've got a couple of other little bits and pieces that we need to sort out before we can progress with it. Firstly, we need to make a pick guard because I found it difficult to find the Les Paul Junior pick guard that I wanted here in the UK at a price that I was willing to pay, and also I just prefer to make them myself if I can. And additional to that, we need to take this soap bar pickup that I've bought and turn that into a dog ear pickup so that it will fit this guitar properly. I might also, if I get a chance, sort out the electronics while I'm at this so we can then just blast on with the rest of the build. But first up, I think I'll put all this to one side and we'll make a start on getting this pick guard sorted out. And to make the pick guard, I've got this sheet of tortoiseshell plastic. When I first saw this, I wasn't particularly pleased with it because it's got these kind of quite big yellow bits scattered throughout it, which for me don't look particularly tortoiseshelly. But I think if I'm careful with my placement, I can kind of miss the overwhelming majority of those big blobs and end up with a nice looking pick guard. So I'm just going to very quickly kind of draw around that. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to see my pencil mark on here. It's still got the film on, so I think I should be okay. And I don't expect you'll be able to see that at all, but I can see it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get this over to the bandsaw and get the bulk of it trimmed out. And next we just need to get this attached to the template. I've already attached the template to this big block of wood so I can get that in the vise and hold it nice and securely so it's not going to fly all over the place when I get the router on it. It's just a case of get a little bit of masking tape on there. Plenty of super glue on there. Just make sure that that's nicely stuck. Get it in the vise. And I've already got my trim router set up with a bottom bearing bit on there. And then it's literally just a case of running this round the perimeter and getting the shape that we want. I kind of hate this job a little bit because you just get everything covered with these little slithers of bloody black and white plastic. They get absolutely everywhere. I'll be finding these around the house and in the workshop for weeks and weeks and weeks now, but we have got our pick guard cut to shape, so that's the main thing. I'm just going to get it off that block, and the next thing I want to do, which is fairly straightforward, and all I need is a suitably sized transfer punch. That I can get through those holes. give them a tap. To give me my centre marks. I can now get this off the template. Just quite straightforward, and I'm just going to use a hand drill with a 3mm drill bit. Put those 4 holes in. And then I'm just literally going to eyeball the countersink in there. I can always tidy that up at a later stage if I need to. And normally I'd leave this on, but because it's looking so raggy and horrible, I'll take off the protective film. Quick tickle up with some sandpaper. One pickguard. However, the problem I've got is I could only get this in the 3 layer variety. So I've got black, white and tortoise shell there. And at the moment I'm not really sure what I want to do with that. The last one I did, I actually masked the whole thing off and I sprayed a layer of black right the way around the perimeter that just hid the white element. I'm going to think about this one, whether I want to leave that white in or not while I'm doing the pickup, and then if I do decide that the white doesn't look right, we can get that sorted out at a later stage. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is get this pickup sorted out and basically convert it from a soap bar style pickup into a dog ear pickup. Now, functionally, it's exactly the same. It's just a few little bits of cosmetic detail that we need to change to make it one and not the other. Now, first thing I need to do is just slip that cover off. We can put that out of the way because we don't need it anymore. And then I'll bring you in a little bit closer so we can have a good look at what we need to do this conversion. And it's not really that complicated of a job. First thing we need to do is just take out these 2 little screws that hold the base plate on. Put them somewhere safe. With that done, we should be able to lift the base plate off like that. Now it's soldered on in this corner, and all that is a ground, so you can probably see that there. And what we need to do is just unsolder that, and then we've got a new base plate that just slips on in its place, and we need to solder that wire back onto this new one. Okay, so we'll just very quickly melt that little bit of solder. Get rid of that. Start by just tinning this. Get a nice bit of solder on there. Okay, and with that soldered on, we can now finagle that back round, clip it back over the pole piece screws, and then it's just a case of sticking those screws back in just to hold it all together. There we have our pickup converted. Simple as that. Okay, so that's the pickup sorted. We can put that to one side now, and we can now crack on with the rest of the wiring, which, to be honest, isn't really that involved. I've made myself a little fixture for the pots to sit in just to keep them steady. There's 2 pots, both of them 500k, 1 volume, 1 tone. And I've actually, to try and keep this looking fairly authentic, I've got some of this cloth covered pushback wire to wire it up with. I think that'll look really, really nice. I've got my tinned bus wire to do the ground connections with. There's just a standard mono jack to be soldered on. And I thought, to try and make this look really, really authentic, and just to see if it does make any difference whatsoever, I've actually bought one of those bumblebee capacitors that would have been on the guitar back in the late 50s. It's an oil in paper cap, whatever that means. However, I didn't really think it was going to be that big. It's absolutely huge. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I do need to make sure that I mount it so that it's not sticking too far back away from the pot, unless it won't go into the cavity. So what I probably need to do is kind of just mount it on top of the pot like that and make sure that I trim off any extra. Personally, it is my belief that capacitance is capacitance, and how that is achieved won't make any appreciable difference to the sound of the guitar. Other people might have different opinions on that, but that's all fair. I haven't got a problem with that at all. It is a very, very straightforward setup. There's no switching, there's just literally 2 pots. So I'm not going to talk you through this. I'll just bring you in a little bit closer, and then we can just get this all wired up. And there it is, the wiring all done. I'm actually really pleased with that. I've used this cloth wire in the past and I've never really got on with it very well, but this stuff, it cuts nicely, it pulls back well. It's pre-tinned, so you don't have to worry about tinning it. So if you noticed I hadn't done that, that's why. It all seems to have gone on very, very nicely. Looks very neat for me. The only thing that we're going to need to do once this is in the guitar is just put the live from the pickup onto there, ground the pickup and ground the wire from the bridge stud, and we should all be good to go. I'm hoping I've got this massive, great big capacitor far enough over this way that it will go into the cavity. If not, I don't think it's a huge deal just to move it over slightly. I'm not worried about that too much. It should all go in with a little bit of finagling. So very, very happy with that. Also happy with the way that the pickup conversion's gone, and got a nice little scratch plate to go with it all as well. So that's most of the stuff that we need to get done. Next up is we need to do a trial build on this just to make sure that absolutely everything goes together how we want it to. But that's going to be for the next episode. I'm going to leave this one here. So as always, hit that like button if you've enjoyed this. Subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.